Welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast, where the legal industry gets real. I'm your host, Etta Rosa, legal consultant, speaker, and founder of Etta Rosa LLC and the Limitless Paralegal Academy. This isn't your stuffy legal studies school lecture. We're talking mindset, money, modern workflows, and how to build a career and a life you don't need a vacation from. Let's cut the fluff, raise the bar, and change the game one conversation at a time. If you like what you hear, feel free to share and send us your feedback. Now let's talk paralegal. In this episode, we're stepping outside the courtroom and firms into the spotlight. Legal professional voices deserve to be heard, not just in legal briefs, but in books, on stages, and across media. My guest Melanie, publisher and book marketing strategist, shares how lawyers and legal professionals can transform their expertise into powerful stories that build trust, expand influence, and establish true thought leadership. Listen in for more. Hi guys, welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. Today I'm super excited because we're going to talk about one of my favorite hobbies, things to do, the whole thing, and it's books and publishing. And before you skip this episode, we're not going to talk about, that the way that you think we are. I actually have one amazing person that turned this topic into something fruitful and tangible for you guys, and we're promise you we'll connect the dots throughout the episode. But Melanie, before we get into our conversation and our topic of the day, can you give us a little tidbit, little elevator pitch of you and kind of what brought you to this moment and what brought you on the podcast?
Well, I thank you so much for having me. First of all, I'm really excited to chat with you. It's really hard for me to boil it down into like an elevator pitch because it's not like I went to school and became a publisher. It didn't happen quite like that. I started out in celebrity PR in Hollywood, and then I became a journalist, got a master's in journalism, moved to Pennsylvania, reported news there, got laid off when I was 5 months pregnant. Then I had to move to Arizona, and I thought, what now? Hey, I'm going to design and manufacture breastfeeding clothing. And after doing that for 7 years, selling the clothes on Nordstrom.com and on Amazon, I made a bad hire. And it was a marketing person that promised a lot of things and ended up just belittling me every day until I couldn't work anymore. So I started again, and it was to be supportive and help people with their marketing, which is super broad and not very exciting. But authors started calling, hey, can you help me with marketing? I was like, yeah, of course I can help you market your book. And then it sort of evolved from there. And now, here's my 30-second elevator pitch. I help professionals, attorneys, and others write, publish, and promote books that are a tangible marketing asset that they can use, they can leverage to grow their business, grow their authority, their visibility, and ultimately, change the world. However
I love that. I love that. And, just to tie this in and give my personal input on this conversation, I want the audience, and I'm going to remind the audience, because I know you guys know I'm an author, but my Let's Talk Paralegal guidebook was literally a extension of what we were doing at that time with the company, right? And it's what brought us credibility and more exposure. It's what got us into different stages, and it really exposed us further. It's what elevated our podcast. People were like, wait, this is also a podcast? Wait, what? And so just because you guys see these Amazon, listings and bestsellers and Oprah's #1's bestsellers and New York Times and all the things, just know that there's a lot more to it than just sitting there writing the book, getting an editor to edit it, and eventually, the prize is publishing, right? For most authors. Not all of us like me, I'm not the one that wants to be on the New York bestseller. For us, it's more of a marketing tool. We use it as an extension. We use it as an addition to our products and services. So for those lawyers, my freelance paralegals out there, my entrepreneur mindset people, this is the conversation for you, right? This is If and I'm one of you, I'm one of those that you're probably thinking, well, I'm not really a writer, I'm only a legal writer, and those are two different worlds. I'm totally with you. It wasn't until I started writing, until I got exposed to it from the first time. You can start small like I did. I co-authored and then I did a whole book on my own, and now I'm doing a third one. And so there's different ways that you can really change your experience and change your perception, right? So, Melanie, what are some ideas and tips that you usually, what I liked about our conversation, maybe we can hone in on it, was when you were telling me and explaining to me everything that you do, and we were looking for ideas for the podcast, you said something that really caught my attention. And it was, I started reading books and I thought this could be a lot better. And even though everybody's like, how rude, I was just like, yes, I'm all about feedback. I'm all about growth. I'm all about how can I do it better? Any feedback. My team knows that. Like I'm always about, guys, what can I do better? What are you not liking? All the stuff. And so really growing as a person, as a professional, that, feedback can be tough, especially when you're like, this is my baby and I've worked so hard on it. And then how do you tell these people are like, well, it could be better?
Well, I mean, I'm never rude to them. I'm always very kind and I will say it in a nice way. But one of the things that I have figured out is how to make it so that people don't have to write the book in the first place. I have them
Mm,
speak the book out to me in about an hour a week. And then I take their words and turn them into a manuscript. So that takes away that fear of what if this is my baby and nobody likes it and all, because you haven't even had to sit in a corner for hours and write. But when they're, it's the way that I will give feedback is I'll read the book and I'll say, you know what? I really like the way you write. For example, I really like the way you write. Right now, this is kind of reading like a workbook. So, what are some stories? What are some interesting facts that we can infuse throughout to really make, paint it, add color to something that's just black and white in a way.
mm. I
And
love that.
and so I will be able to pinpoint. And I did this with a client, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. He gave me his book. I was like, this is fascinating stuff. Now,
But
here, yeah, not but now. So see right here, I want you to give me a story because that's going to make me, Melanie, the reader, understand what it is you are saying. Like, yes, you've given me like a broad swath of what you're teaching, but in order for me to understand it, I need a story so I can really internalize it. And so he did. And this book is reading so much more fascinating now, and I'm so, so, so excited. And
I
that's the
love that.
difference. It's stories. Stories really help illuminate what you're really trying to say. And so I will always come back at the person who comes to me with a quote unquote completed manuscript, because let's be real, nothing's ever complete. Um, and
Now.
say, okay, great start. Let's go.
Yeah, I know. And it was hard for me too. Guys, trust me, I went through that process. It's excruciating. The first one, not so much. It was, like I said, it was a guidebook. It was more just like I want to get it out there. I just want to get something published that kind of really coincides with what our, initiatives are. And that's really what the books are about, right? Like my books are more always an extension of where I'm at in my place. So like the first one, I co-authored it. It was just my story so people get to know me, kind of where I am coming from and what really makes me the expert in that specific field. The second one was a guidebook, which went really well and complemented really well for like consulting firms that were onboarding newbies and that were trying to get them on track. And great, it's 100 pages. It has notes in the back. You can write notes. You can do whatever you want. And it's what you were saying. It's a workbook, but I do have plenty of stories in there because at heart, I'm a storyteller. And I feel like people, like you were saying, one, understand what you're saying because sometimes we don't speak the same language, but we speak the same language, if that makes sense. And two, it gives more entertainment value, right? Because a lot of people don't like to read. That's why we have audibles. That's why we have podcasts that people just want like little shorts and little snippets of whatever the topic is that they're trying to research or learn more about. And so that was another new thing for me coming up now is actually recording my book after it's done, right? And that was like, Oh man, that's like a whole different ball game. You have to be like in this specific area and you have to have specific tools and it's a whole thing. But anyways, there's a lot that goes behind a book, guys. Don't think it's just like writing a whole bunch of things and then just publishing it. It's a whole process. It's for me, it's been a 3-year process. So but I'm done. I'm done. October, I'm done and it's over. But we are going through the editorial processing, which is pretty painful. And I had to learn that I can't take it personal, that it's not an attack on my style or an attack on what I say. It's just that they want to make sure that every single reader understands what I'm trying to say, because then that kind of takes away the point of writing the book in the first place, right? Is like you have a story to tell, you have something to share, you want everybody to understand it regardless. So that's where I'm at. And that's kind of what I remind myself every single day when I get feedback. But in addition to that, you do a lot more. You help the market, which is probably after all this editorials portion of it, is probably the most important because people actually want people to read it and people to actually enjoy it and know about it. And so that for me is also different. So talk about pretty much how you go through that process because I feel like every author has their own uniqueness, right? Some of them are not very outspoken, some of them are more reserved. That's why they're writers or whatever, vice versa, or mix. So kind of how do you navigate that process and what does it look like in your eyes?
hmm Well, you don't have to be the person who's doing Instagram lives every single day. If that doesn't fit your brand, if that gives you the ick, you really don't have to do it. It's okay. We do, generally speaking, what we do is big stuff. So we'll do an Amazon bestseller campaign so that you're going to get boosted in the algorithm. And we're going to pitch you to the media. So local media, because they're always interested in authors, and we'll do a press release for the national media. We'll pitch you to be on podcasts, which is amazing because like you have been so gracious as to bring me on as a guest. And all of a sudden now I'm an expert because you said I'm a guest. I'm an expert, right? So now I'm an expert because you said it. And here I am. So it's very meta like that. And also, just designing a custom marketing strategy based on what you're already doing
Yeah.
and leveraging the network you already have. I had a client once we showed him like how to post on LinkedIn, what to say. Somebody reached out to him and said, "Hey, I have a speaking event I'd like you to come to. We'll pay you and we're going to buy 300 copies of your book."
Great.
Yeah. All right. It's like, great.
Sign me
Done.
up.
Sign me up.
Where do I go?
Exactly. And like that's the power of it. But so often people publish a book and they think it's just about like the first thing, book sales, book sales, book sales. And I'm the first person to say you're not going to get rich on book sales unless your name is like, I don't know, J.K. Rowling or something, or Stephen King. For example, show and tell. My new book is out right now. This is the author copy, but it's brand new. This is like the only
Love
copy that
it.
exists. It's called Lasting Legal Impact. Okay. So am I so worried about pre-sales? No. I'm
Yeah.
going to be sending this book in the mail to potential clients, to potential referral partners, to people that book speaking events so that they can see who I am, what I'm all about, and really get to know me in a way that is going to show my authority. And so that's really what the book piece and the marketing is all about. It's less about the getting the $7 and change for per book from Amazon where you're like, "Yay, I'm going to Starbucks." But and more about like big picture. I had a client,
Right.
well, actually I met with her today earlier. So somebody sent her a copy of my first book and she hired me after reading the book.
Hey, legal pros, are you ready to stop playing small? The Limitless Paralegal Academy is officially open, offering powerhouse courses, real world tools, and expert led training to help you build the career and life you actually want. We're not stopping there. The Limitless Paralegal Tour is hitting the road. We're bringing the mindset shifts, career strategies, and community straight to your city with epic speakers, actionable sessions, and zero boring PowerPoints. This isn't your average CLE. This is your legal career reimagined. Join the Academy, meet us on tour, become the legal pro everyone remembers. Visit limitlessparalegalaacademy.com to enroll and grab your ticket now. Be bold, be brilliant, but most importantly, be limitless. Love it. Yeah, because it was probably an extension of what you're doing now, right? So, yeah, it's and one thing, it was so funny because I didn't know anything about marketing. Most people that build businesses really don't know that you become the sales and marketing person for a very long time until you can afford to have people do it for you. And so when I first started 7 years ago, well, no, 8 years ago, when I first started, that was a hard lesson to learn. That even though I'm friendly and I'm likable and I was doing it for other people, it was very different when it came to me and my stuff and talk about me. Because I love it when people are like, just ask people, like in the networking gurus, when they're like, just ask people to talk about themselves. They love talking about themselves. Some of them don't. Some of them don't even know where to start unless they identify themselves with labels like motherhood or parenthood or sisterhood, or they're part of a certain organization that fulfills them. But like to talk about the person themselves and why they should hire you, that's a whole different ballgame. Like a lot of people don't even know what their favorite things are because they lost themselves like 100 years ago. So it's like, to talk about yourself is very, very hard. It's like learning about yourself. And I think that's kind of like the writing process is, right? Like learning your style, learning what you're comfortable with, what you're comfortable in sharing, what you're not comfortable sharing, especially if it's like a biography or like a personal thing where you're trying to share a story of that happened to you about trauma or grief, and you feel that by sharing that you're going to help other people and not feel alone, which I've heard that as well. One of my favorite things is the book festivals. I love those, like the fairs and things like that. And I was introduced to them very early on at school. You get the, what is it, the scholastics.
Scholastic.
And so my daughter also has, gotten that vibe from me, and she has a bookcase and everything. And so we went to the book fair, and talk about a small world. My cousin happens to be an editor in Puerto Rico. And so we knew she was going to be there. We knew that a couple of her authors were going to be there. And when we go over there, one of her authors had written, which I love, a bilingual book. So I love bilingual books where they're both in English and whatever language in the same book. Like you don't have to buy a different version of it, right? So for my kids, it's really important that they keep their, traditions and their language because I don't want them to lose it. And so when we were looking at this book, which I'm sure my son still has it somewhere, he had just started baseball, and the book was about a baseball player and all the challenges that this baseball player, comes to find out when he's first learning how to play baseball. And it was so relative that when I started talking, like I felt just like I didn't even read the book. I just kind of like read the synopsis, and I was like, he's gonna love this book because he's probably going through the same thing. He's learning and this and navigating. And so I told him, I'm like, you want to get this book. And then he finally ultimately I convinced him with hesitation, of course. He says, okay, fine. And so I ended up getting the book, and it was about, I don't know. It was anywhere from $17 to $20, somewhere around that range. For me, that's very like pricey for a kid book, but because we usually get them like at Target for like $7 or $5. But I was like, no, I'm supporting a local artist, and this and that, and it's a whole thing and whatever. And so my son's like, $20, And I was like, well, honey, this is the author. And so I think the experience of meeting the author, having the author sign the book, taking a picture with the author, and everything else, I feel is a whole different ballgame, right? So having these signings and these speaking engagements, I know a lot of speakers that bring their books every time that they speak. And one experience that I can also relate to, because again, I'm a storyteller, I was speaking at a paralegal studies program. They happened to have my book, and they ran, to the stage after I was done, and they said, can I have your autograph? And I'm like, sure. And I'm looking for like something to sign, and she's like handing me my book. I was just like, I didn't even, it wasn't in my presentation. It wasn't about that. Usually when I go to colleges, it's more about education. It's of a broad thing. It's not about marketing at all. So natural marketing can also work as well. Is kind of my whole purpose of that conversation. And no, what you were saying about building your network, right? And like working with your network. Um, Give like an example. Like in my case, it would be like LinkedIn. We have a heavy following on LinkedIn versus other people that work in my same industry are more involved in like Facebook and the meta world. So really talk about how that looks like and walk people through that maybe don't understand what you're talking about when you say tap into your network. Because I feel like that's relevant in any aspect. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
yeah, absolutely. So your network, I don't just mean on social media.
Right.
I mean any networking group that you're part of or a religious organization that you're part of. Wherever you are around people who are your ideal client or ideal reader, we'll say, that is a great place to start because once they know what you have going on, once they know that you have a book, they're going to be interested in getting a copy of it because they're going to want to know more. One of the mistakes I see often is that people publish and then they forget to ever talk about the book again. So always remember to share it in your marketing. But then there's the other side of the coin where people talk about it nonstop to the point where you want to kind of you vomit in your mouth a little bit because you're listening to this person going, well, my book, you got to check it out in my book, or I could tell you, but it's in my book. So why don't you get a copy? Like that's gross. You don't have to do that either. There's a very happy balance where you can literally say to somebody, you know, I have an entire book all about this topic. And you can offer to send it to them. If you send them a PDF copy, it's not going to cost you a dime. And if they want to go and buy an actual physical copy, then that's fantastic. But the goal is less, as I mentioned, about book sales and more about getting your content, your mission, your impact out in the world so that you can make more money, so that you can be more visible and show your authority and be a thought leader. That's really why we want to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that note, why don't we go through some do's and don'ts, right? When we are writing, editing, publishing, marketing, kind of like what are your big do's and what are your big don'ts?
Okay, gosh. All right. So do's, let's say do's. Do regularly, write regularly. If you are not, doing the speak to book situation and you are writing, then you want to write regularly and consistently. Um, do give yourself grace because a lot of times we're censoring as we write. And that's not a great thing to do because then you're never going to get anywhere. You're just going to be like, "Oh no, that's not good. Delete, 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 delete. Oh wait, no, that's not good. Delete, delete, delete." And then you're just going to stop yourself from before you even start. Um, do get an editor. 100% get an editor. Do not rely on do not. I keep going. I'm trying to stay positive here. Um, do get an editor because editors are good. They are geniuses at what they do. If you end up with a not great editor, get a second editor. I actually, for this book that I just did, I was trying out a new proofreader and it was no bueno.
I love that. No bueno.
It was no bueno. And so I ended up going back to my original proofreader. And so she had to proofread the proofreader's work and she did a much better job. So um, beware of the editor. Make sure that there are references because anybody can say they are an editor, but not to scare you.
True.
But definitely get an editor. You want to decide how you want to publish. So, do you want to wait and hope for a traditional publisher? Do you want to pay a hybrid publisher to publish under their imprint for you and do a royalty share? Do you want to independently publish, like with someone like me who does it all under your imprint? Or do you want to DIY it? Those are your options. You get to choose. It's your choice. That's the beauty of being an author these days. The barrier to entry is gone.
Yeah.
So that is a really cool thing. Do publish the book, please. Even if you're thinking, "Oh, but is it?" Just do it. Just do it. Just do it because once you see your name emblazoned on the cover, and you pick up this book and you smell the pages and you see
Mm,
words, there really is no better experience
yeah.
as an author, being an author. So do market the book forever, as long as it's on an evergreen topic. I had a client who wrote a book which was basically a pandemic memoir, and people were like, not interested in pandemic anything anymore. So we reframed it and we said it's the story of a father learning how to parent his neurodivergent son. And by
Mm,
doing that, we got him into a pretty big bookstore in his state that,
love it.
yeah. So it keep marketing. And if the way you're doing it doesn't seem to be catching, find something else that will be sticky. Some don'ts, some don'ts.
I'm writing them down, guys, so don't worry. I'm putting it in the description. I'm like a student today.
Let's see. Oh my gosh. I feel like there are kind of more don'ts at this point. Uh, but no, wait, one more do is do trust your intuition. If the
Mm,
person you're working with feels you're feeling something off, trust your intuition. It is right. I speak from experience. I have had some bad experiences with trying to publish my own book. So definitely do your homework. There's another do. Uh,
hmm.
don't. Uh, don't stop marketing. There's a don't stop marketing. Don't stop yourself from sharing a story that you may think is too vulnerable. If you ever wanted to share it,
I love that.
share it. Don't forget that you are unique and special, and that your experiences make you different from everybody else in the world. And that even if there are 5 other books all about why it's cool to be a paralegal, if somebody wanted to buy a book about why it's cool to be a paralegal, they're not going to buy just one book on the topic. If they're interested in the topic, they're going to get other books on the topic too. We
It's like a
don't
self-help, right? Like we don't can't get enough of self-help.
Exactly, exactly. And if you're interested in a topic, you're going to read more than one book on it. So, also, don't pick a title that is very confusing and doesn't let us know what your book is about. Um, People do that. And that just goes into marketing in general, right? It's like we were talking about the 30-second pitch and about speaking in legalese, or you have to be clear in what you're saying,
Yeah.
because so often, when you go to a networking event, people will say, so what do you do? And the response is, well, I help entrepreneurs find their inner mojo so that they can be happy and successful in life. I mean, I wish I made money when people just said that to me, because I would be super duper rich. And then my follow-up response always is, so what is it exactly that you do? Because
Hmm.
they haven't answered the question. They'll be like, oh, well, I'm a coach, or, oh, well, I do accounting. I'm like, oh, that I understand. So I guess this is, so don't be um, confusing.
I love it. Don't be confusing.
Don't confuse people. Be clear. Do be
Oh
clear.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. I think I went through 20 titles before I found one I actually liked, that I would be that's soft on the tongue is what I call it, very easy to say, and it's
Yeah.
not like this elaborate long title that's going to take me 10 minutes to say. And
Hmm.
two, that what you said, so that the people actually know what they're buying, right? Because yeah, they might follow me, they might know my brands, but like what about my brand is attracting this person, and what about that book is going to make them read it, right? So that's why we're like, well, the short title is Silent Burdens, but of course it has like a whole other, portion to it, for the legal professionals that are struggling. So it's like, people understand that it's not just the silent burdens, because they're like, okay, what does that mean?
Exactly. Exactly. I thought of another don't. Don't use ChatGPT to write your book.
Oh my goodness. Well,
You,
that
you
one.
can't you can't copyright that.
No.
And I
Yeah,
don't know
guys,
if
I'm so
anybody,
sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, and then I will tell you this because my attorney told me this, so I'm going to tell you straight from my attorney's mouth when we were talking about IP, patents, trademarks, and copyrights, especially now with all our brands coming out and our products, we're definitely honing in on those. So it's really like front of mind, and I wanted to share this with you guys because it's obviously relevant. Um, there is a law, a federal law that says if it's 40% written by you, then it's yours, but that can be overthrown depending on the state and depending on the matter. Because what's happening is that ChatGPT takes information from other people. So if the information that you are placing on your book is coming from someone that's already done the work and patented it and trademarked it and everything, well, then you will be in big trouble. So we do not use ChatGPT for anything at this point when it comes to our books, our products, and especially marketing our information. We do not use it. We feed it information because it is the new Google. People are going, more to ChatGPT than they are Googling things. So we do feed it information like our websites and our, academy, but those are already finalized, copyrighted, and trademarked. So everything that we have finalized goes into ChatGPT so that when people say, "Hey, I'm looking for a paralegal podcast," Let's Talk Paralegal Podcast is on that list. So that is also another marketing tool that you guys can take with you that we've learned how to have AI and beat the algorithm is by feeding the algorithm. So do that. That is my tidbit for the day. Now, we went through the do's and don'ts. We went through marketing. We went through the editorial excruciating process. So let's finish up with some tips and resources for them that they can go to something tangible. Oh, obviously your book. I mean, your book. Yes. Okay, we got you. Well, those links are down below. Please get the book. Okay, guys, we definitely want you to get the book. I think it's going to be really amazing for our listeners. You also have another one, right? Before that, before the legal impact, you had another one. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, what is it
Yeah,
called?
that one's called Make a Big Impact with Your Book.
Make a big impact. I know it was something with big impact, but I didn't remember what it was.
Yeah,
So
I try to
make a
stay
big
on
impact.
brand as much as I can. So,
I love it.
yeah.
So that's the one that pretty much attracts your clients. So we want that one too. We'll have both links on the description, guys, for you, so you guys can have it. But, give us some tips, give us some resources, give us something.
Okay. Yeah, I know I've been holding back this whole time, so I should. So tips are if you want to do it, do it. But before you start writing, have a goal. So
Mm,
don't just start writing and then go, "Oh, well, who should this be for?" after you have 10 chapters. Start plan. Okay, I am not a planner by nature. I'm a jump in head first and then figure out how I got here kind of person, but not with books. With my books, with my clients' books, in fact, if you could see the desk right below me right now, I have about 20 sticky notes all placed in different places because my client and I were outlining her book this morning.
I
And
love it.
so each sticky note, chicken scratch, but it's what the chapter is going to be about. So definitely have your reasons for writing the book and your readership. And don't say, oh, it's for everybody. It's
It's
not for
not.
everybody.
Not
It's
every company is for everybody. Not every client is yours. The book is good for someone specific. So,
Yeah. So figure out who that specific audience is. So
Mhm.
that is and then start outlining it and figure out what you want to say, what they need to hear. Then put those into chapters. Then start writing. And don't do it in order. Do the intro last.
Yep. I know. And it's so funny because when I do the outlines, I will literally outline the outline. So like, okay, this is my idea, and then for every single chapter, I have another outline, and then for that, I have like a little sub notes. Okay, I want to make sure that I don't forget to include this because this is very important. Because sometimes when you're writing, you know so much about whatever the subject is that you forget. You forget whatever it is that you're trying to I guess say or educate, in my case, educate, right? We do a lot of educational stuff. So it's like, oh wait, we don't want to miss that. That's really important. Like we don't want that to be missed. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I'm an outliner at heart. I outline the outline. It's so funny because my editor's like, what is this? And I was like, so that was my original outline. Then from there I went to this, and then from that, each chapter has one, but I haven't put the chapters in order. All I know is there's gonna be 10 of them. That was me
Exactly.
like 6 months ago.
Yeah, yeah. Your outline has an outline, and that's
And
okay.
it's
Yeah.
fine. It's a process, guys. It's a process. It's not easy, but I love it. I've learned to love it. It's a very it can be an easy process when you are um a creative, just person, but then like it's hard because I am a creative, but to like actually put it in writing in an organized fashion where you actually understand what I'm writing, not saying, is different.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different ballgame. So it is a process. It's a learning curve, but it's not impossible, guys. So find somebody like Melanie and her company to help you. Find an editor, a trustworthy editor. Um, Hopefully with resources. I'm all about references. Like give me a reference, I will, hire you no matter what. So it is what it is. But thank you so much for your time, Melanie. Did you have any last words or any like words of wisdom for our audience?
Well, I want to say that if there's stuff that you're like, well, should I include it? Or, I don't know. Remember that a book can be multimedia. So
Mm,
you can have a QR code that leads to something else. And that is how you grow your email list by having readers who buy your book on Amazon get more information from directly from your book. They go and they sign up. So, in terms of wisdom, just think of your book as a tangible asset, a marketing asset that you can leverage forever. And if you're thinking, well, I don't know if I should write a book, you can email me because I will tell you if your idea is a good book idea, or maybe there's another way we can look at it where if we just tweak it slightly, that is what is going to work for you.
yeah, you can always workshop it out, guys. Like, don't think that I, woke up one day and said, yeah, that's it. No, I changed this third book. I had an original vision for it and I changed it. Like, I literally realized that the other day when I was looking at the original transcript or outline, and I was like, yeah, no, that was a whole totally different book. Like, and it's nothing compared to what I have now because what we did was, oh, and this is another thing you guys can do is research your audience, right? So if you already have a following like we do, we researched our audience, like not that we were stalking you guys or anything, or we're going on your social media, like please don't freak out on us. But we were researching on what was our highest engagement posts, like what were the topics that really hit home to certain people, especially the ones that write these paragraph comments. Like those were the ones that we looked at because if you took the time to write an entire paragraph as a comment, we understand that it hit home. If you took the time to repost it or to share it with your network in some way, shape, or form, like there was one post that was included in an article and that we were tagged on. So all these things we're looking at, like we're always trying to see what are the topics that are hitting home, what is really the feedback that we're receiving from our audience, especially if you're trying to do it as an extension of your company, your business, your personal brand. That's really important. Knowing your audience and what they want and what triggers them. Definitely, it was a learning curve for us. Again, we had one specific idea of what our client was, and then all of a sudden we're like, nope, that's not right. We did a lot of research and we're like, we were totally off. We had the age ranges off, we even had the gender off. Like, it was a completely different ball game when we started actually running analytics and data. Data is amazing. It's very helpful. It's an underutilized tool. I don't understand why, but it is. So as much data as you can pull, reports from everywhere, your email list, any demographics you can get, like anything. Just learn your audience so you can learn what to gear your book. Like Melanie was saying, whatever you need to kind of redirect the title or redirect the subject or redirect the content. Because the more they're engaging with you, the more they'll buy your book. Christy Wright is an amazing like I learned a lot from her, even though we're totally different genres. Like, we're like, she's in the Christian, financial department, entrepreneurship as well, but more for like that community. She was under the Dave Ramsey, but she did great. She wrote a book. She did the guide where the QR code or you linked and all, like she's a master of, getting people continuously engaged. And then she ties it all together with a podcast masterfully. So, anyways, shout out to Chrissy if you're listening. I highly doubt it, but we love you anyway. All right, Melanie, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your wisdom with us. Please, please, please connect with Melanie. All her socials and website, email, all that information will be on the description. I have the do's and don'ts that she stated along with the tips. So please go back to the description box of the episode. And until next time, until justice is served, we'll be here. Bye, guys.